One of the speakers featured at the Nuclear Security Summit is Debra Decker. She's a senior advisor at the Stimson Center. That's a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization which works to enhance global security and economic prosperity. Debra, what have been the commitments you've seen so far during day one of this gathering?
Well, there's been a commitment to follow-on mechanisms, and in particular, we're having the IAEA, the International Atomic Energy Agency, Interpol, the UN, the Global Initiative to Combat Nuclear Terrorism, and Global Partnership. These 5 organizations that are intergovernmental agreements to continue with a 5-year plan, at least, of how to go forward on this. In addition, what I think is most important is that the Sherpas, the ones who are actually been doing the work between the ministerial level meetings, they're going to commit to a process to meet probably annually next to the IAEA General Conference. Having this follow-on mechanism means that this process won't end. However, having the heads of state also pay attention is going to be key. So how do you have that done? I've heard that there's 2 countries who have talked about maybe stepping up and hosting a summit themselves. Maybe that will be something that comes out of this. I don't know more than that yet. But another interesting point was today, I spoke at the Joint Industry NGO Summit. This is the first time that industry, which had a nuclear industry summit, and NGOs, non-governmental organizations, met together. And they came out with a joint statement. We realize this is a whole of society approach to this important threat that we all have to deal with.
Well, how concerned are you right now, or when you talk to people there, about the threat of nuclear weapons falling into the hands of the wrong people, of terrorists?
It's a definite concern, especially when you have countries that are not responsible ones, like North Korea, potentially developing more weapons-grade material as well as weapons themselves. And I could see, unfortunately, North Korea being in a situation of selling off some material. I mean, this is a worst-case scenario. How do you address that? I'm not sure that we have that yet. Nuclear forensics and attribution would be a way to stymie that, and that's another thing that has been put forth by the UK primarily, some nuclear forensics initiatives.
Just a few years ago, nobody had heard of ISIL. Now they're waging a brutal reign of terror around the world. So how much has that threat increased since ISIL's rise?
Well, definitely the threat has increased now with ISIL having much more capability than Al-Qaeda had. Al-Qaeda also didn't have, they were interested at first in nuclear power plants, and they were interested in developing nuclear, but they didn't have the resources that ISIS has with all its territory that it has. And also, ISIS is an apocalyptic group. It wants to do damage, whereas Al-Qaeda was more interested in actually gaining recruits and realized that you might not want to go too far at times.
And I want to ask you about this 10-point communique released by United States and China. A number of initiatives on there, among them reducing the use of highly enriched uranium and fighting nuclear smuggling. This is a big deal here.
It absolutely is a big deal. And I mean, there have been ships that have been diverted, and luckily through the Proliferation Security Initiative, we've been able to, stop some smuggling of dual-use material too, which is, you not only need the fissile material, you need means of delivery for it. So levels of cooperation like this are most important.
And Debra, on a final note, do you believe these kinds of gatherings, yes, they bring attention to the problem, but are there any binding agreements where various countries, it's not just about their words, it's also about following up with action?
And the good news is they have followed up with actions. And today, for example, we celebrated in a joint meeting with a number of ministers. I was talking to Foreign Minister from Romania. They received awards for the fact that they removed highly enriched uranium from their land. Philippines, Vietnam, Korea, they were all celebrated and recognized for that. Having that recognition is important. There are steps being done, effective steps going forward. Not everything's been done, and it's good that NGOs are watching and saying, hey, why aren't you doing more here or more there? So I think this global partnership of industry, NGOs, and heads of state and governments and intergovernmental institutions really is what needed. It's exciting times here.
Well, thank you. I know it's been a busy day for you, so we certainly appreciate you taking time and talking to us.
Thank you so much.